And you don't want to surround yourself with the same people who told you in high school you can't make money as an artist. Yeah. That's not going to help you. Because you surround yourself with those people, that's what you're going to believe. You want to surround yourself with people who believe in you and believe in themselves. And that is an infectious energy that will motivate you and take your art career to greater heights.
Hey there, I'm Maida Leon, and my mission is to help creatives like you translate what you love to do into a highly profitable income. I'm a mom of 3 who began as a lettering artist and grew it into a 6-figure business. If I made it possible, so can you. Every week, we'll dive deep into topics like building your confidence, getting comfortable talking about money, and nurturing your passion while juggling life and family. So if you're an ambitious creative who wants to craft the life you love, get cozy, feel at home, and listen to the Confident Creator Show. Hey creators, I hope you're having a great day. As for me, I'm excited because I am joined by a super talented artist today. She inspires art lovers to reconnect with their creativity, learn new skills and techniques, and profit from their art. After witnessing the 9/11 attack, she abandoned a lucrative hedge fund job to work on her art full-time. Projecting the starving artist myth, her paintings have been seen on NBC, published in art magazines and home decor books, and collected worldwide. I'd like to introduce to you the Chief Inspiration Officer of the Inspiration Place. Welcome to the show, Miriam Schulman. Hello.
Hey, Mai. Thanks so much for having me. It's such an honor.
Wow. Yeah. How are you? It's been a while since we last talked, you know.
I know, but we chit chat on social media.
Social media, a little bit.
This feels more real.
Yes. It is so good to see you. Well, I'm seeing you right now and hear your voice again. You know, you've been one of my inspiration, and I'm so happy to have you on the show today.
Oh, thanks. Right back. You inspire me as well.
Oh, thank you for that. It's an honor, always an honor to hear from other artists, especially somebody as well-known as you, that I can still inspire. And yeah, thank you so much. All right. So I am going to start because I know that with your audience, you have been well-known in your community. But in the hand lettering community, they might be new to Miriam Schulman. And I want you to introduce yourself to if you have, would you mind asking or telling us a little bit about how you started your journey as an artist? I know I mentioned a little bit about the 9/11 attack, but I want to dig deeper into that and how you started with your art and making money from it, especially.
Okay, so I'm going to give you like the very speedy version. So like many artists who are professionals, I wasn't always a professional artist. I didn't go to art school. I didn't even, and this always shocks my daughter when she asks me, Mom, did you take art classes in high school? I didn't even take art classes in high school, but I was always drawing. I was that kid who was always drawing my teachers, drawing my classmates. So that was always part of me. And it was like my thing that I always wanted to do, but I was told, no, you've got to become a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. Those were basically the 3 choices, right? Like there are no other jobs. So I didn't, and in college, same thing. I actually did take art classes in college, and I took so many art classes in college that I didn't complete my engineering degree completely. But I still wasn't allowed to become an artist according to my mother. So I went to get a graduate degree in engineering. And I took that to Wall Street and I made money. But it was after 9/11 that I had kind of an awakening. And I feel, that right now we're at a similar moment in time. This whole past year has been an awakening for many people who are looking at the job that they did that was supposed to be secure. That was supposed to be, this is it. And it wasn't as secure as they thought. And those of us like you and I who are making money from what we create, who have our own businesses, actually have the more secure incomes, don't you think?
I know, right? Like, it's funny you mentioned engineering. I'm an engineering graduate as well.
Are you really? Did we never have this conversation? That's why you were cracking up when I was talking.
Yeah, because I am an electronics and communications engineer.
Oh, get out.
Yes.
Get out.
And just like you, my parents told me no to art. I did not really show much interest in art. I'm just really drawing letters. But somehow, we were always discouraged to pursue art as children because there's no money with making art, right? It has always
according to people who I don't know where they come up with that. Did you know that Michelangelo was actually a millionaire? Like if you took what he made in whatever it was, the 15 somethings, he was paid very well. Like ridiculously well.
Well, yeah. And it's funny because even though it happened like years and years ago, our parents were inundated that art is not something that you can make money from, and that they passed it on to us, right? And it's funny. But being the stubborn me, well, it did not really happen like quickly that I became an artist immediately. Just like you, I had different paths before I became a hand lettering artist. But unlike you, like you draw portraits, you specialize in portraits, right? I specialize in drawing letters. That's just the very thing that I can draw. And that's what I loved. Whereas you have been painting portraits and I admire your work. Why did you, settle with portraits?
Well, as I said before, that it was almost obvious because that's what I was always doing in class when, I was drawing my teachers. I was drawing my classmates. I like to draw people. So just like you came into a hand lettering business because you like to draw letters, I like to draw people. And I started off, I think the first portrait I did, I'm trying to think about the first portrait I did professionally, but there's really like two steps to this, There was the money I was making in college. So I actually, even though I wasn't studying to become a professional artist, I was taking money for my art in college and people were paying me for it then. And then there was kind of a break where I was doing the quote unquote corporate real job. And when I stopped working and decided I was going to dedicate myself full time to being an artist, I started painting people again. So I was painting my children and people saw that and that launched my career. That like everybody wanted one. They wanted a painting of their kid.
Yeah.
How did you start with the lettering? Like how did it become monetized for you?
Well, for me, it started just as a hobby, actually. And nothing. I was really not expecting anything from it. I never thought that there's money from hand lettering, which was really, I don't know, it was stupid of me to think of that. But when I was just showing and sharing my work online, it just sort of happened. 6 months after I was consistently sharing my work, a CEO of the CEO of the Minilu Kids contacted me on Instagram and asked me to draw a letter, an alphabet coloring book, and that snowballed from there.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that.
It's something that I have been sharing over and over, and I hope my audience are not tired of hearing that. But really, I believe that whenever we share something that makes us really, really happy, it comes back to us.
I totally repeat myself all the time on the podcast, because my thing is I'm assuming, so now I'm up to like 126 podcasts.
Wow.
So people who maybe discovered me 10 podcasts ago, they haven't heard, some people go back and they listen to all of them, but that's a lot of listening time. So I always assume that people aren't hanging on to our every word.
Yeah.
Right. There may be new people out there who haven't heard.
That is true.
Haven't heard the story yet.
Yeah. So. And I have so many, listeners who are also painters just like you and might be curious. How did you start making money? Like, did it start right after the 9/11?
Not initially. So this is kind of funny because even when 9/11 happened, I knew I was not going back to Wall Street. Like that was, you need a big sign in the sky that says, don't go back.
Yeah.
There's nothing bigger than that. So I knew I wasn't going to go back, but I still didn't believe I could make a full-time living with it. So I was doing lots of things. I was teaching Pilates and I was painting. And it wasn't until when I was at the sports club, and I worked for a very big health club that, of course, it's totally out of business because of COVID. But, it's this big New York sports club is this huge chain of sports clubs. And they put a lot of emphasis on training the employees to sell personal training packages, because that's where the bigger money is. It's not just the monthly membership, but the packages. And Mai, this because it's like with your coaching, like there's the things that we do that for some people, like it's like that's their gateway drug. And then there's like the big things that we do. So the sports club knew this also. So they spent a lot of time training me how to sell training packages. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I can use these same strategies to sell my portraits. And that's how my career took off, because I started becoming a student on how to market. And I didn't just stop with what I learned from the sports club. Like that was like my entry point. And that was 20 years ago. And I've been studying marketing ever since. And I know that is what you do. You study how to sell and how to market, and selling art is no different than selling anything else.
Yeah, that is so, so true. And I love to hear that, because I think we have a different experience when it comes to that. But all of these experiences that we had before brought us to where we are and how we sell our art and our services. Now, in my case, I relied heavily on client work at the beginning, and on my I do sell prints, but those prints didn't make a lot of money. But I relied on client work, which I evenly distributed for months, just so I can have consistent, income for a couple of months, because I only accepted clients who paid me really, really well.
Good for you.
Yeah, because for me at the time, I had nothing to lose, really. I was taking care of my son, and he demands 200% of my time. So I thought, if I have to do this, I have to get paid really, really well. I won't accept like below $500. If it falls below that, I'm going to say no. And I have turned down so many clients, and so many clients have said no to me and my services, but that is okay. That is how I started attracting only the clients who can pay me really, really well. And sometimes the projects would last for 3-4 months, 2 months. And to me, that's okay, because they're paying me well. And I can assure them that, hey, during these 2-3 months, you are the only project that I'm working on. And that gave me the leverage to work on a single client for 3 months. And I still get the money that I wanted to make for those months, which is really, really amazing. So
that's a really powerful mindset, Mai. I can't say I had that mindset when I started. I was like, I didn't know how to price things. And when I look back, it was like, whoa, why did I only take $150 for that painting? So it's taken me longer to reach that mindset. I think I have it now, Mai. Like, somebody will offer me, will you paint? Even if it's a friend, they'll say how much to paint this, and I'll give them my price. And they can't do it, I was like, okay, I'll recommend a student if you like to paint it for you, but that's my price. So, but
Yeah.
I love that you had that really powerful mindset from the beginning.
I think it comes with, the time that I had during those period, because
Yeah.
I have Alphonse with me, and I cannot just give away my time for a few $100, and
Yeah.
I will suffer. I will suffer.
Yeah.
That was the mindset that I had before. So I did not think about that when I was doing it, that it was going to be as powerful as it is now, and that I will be able to teach the same mindset with my students, which is really powerful. And I love it. I love that I got to have that experience. But it also, it helps me understand why others are unable to do so, because there's so many people who are afraid of starting to sell their art. We had so many fears. I had fears that a lot of people would say no to me. It's just that I didn't care at the time.
Well, it's that scarcity mindset that you think if you don't say yes, there won't be another opportunity. And that's never the case.
Yeah, always.
And a lot of times people actually will pay.
They will.
What you want. Like, you have a belief they won't. And even if they say they won't, sometimes they do. Right. Like you initially say, no, I'm sorry. This is what it is. Yeah. They respect that.
Yeah, I think so. Did you already have that client? Have you ever had this experience where you have a particular artwork and then you don't want to sell it, and then you price it for a very higher price? You set a higher price for it, and then eventually you sold it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. Yeah, I mean, I definitely have set prices high, and then they have sold at that higher price. I was like, okay, well, that worked. How much higher can I go?
Yeah, right. So I tried. I never really intended to try it, but I had this one experience where I was asked to sell an artwork for $450, and I said no. I don't want to sell it for $450. I did it for, I think, a week. I dedicated an entire week to finish that. And then it's going to be used for an exhibit, and they wanted to sell it for $450. I said, no, if you want to sell it, I'm going to sell it for $1,500.
Good for you.
So that, because I don't want to sell it. At the time, I don't want to sell it. I said, I want that piece in this house that I'm living in right now. And I know that nobody's gonna buy that. I priced it so high that I thought no one was going to buy it. And then eventually a couple came in, and then they liked it. They are newlyweds, and it was an ampersand, which is actually an anagram for ET. The Latin word ET, which means end, right? And the wife's name, the initials are also ET. So,
so it was so personal.
Yes,
it really spoke to them.
Yes, it spoke to them. It was very personal for the husband. And then he wanted to give it as a gift to his wife. And you know what the funny thing is? The wife shares the same birthday as my husband. How cool is that, right? So it's like, wow, this is a match made in wherever. But it was interesting to realize at the time that, our artwork is valuable to people who values our art, because it has a deeper meaning for them, not just because it's an art and it's something that I wanted to display. It has value for other people.
Oh, it's never about the thing, because it's not. That's what I tell the clients I work with. It's not about decorating the house, because people who like to decorate, I mean, they can stick a mirror up. It's really about what is the connection they made with the artwork, or what is the connection they made with the artist. And with the story you just told, Mai, they were connected to both. They felt the connection to the art and the artist. So that is super powerful. So it's always about creating those kind of connections between our our art and our collectors and ourselves as artists with our collectors. And then when you have client work, though, it's also about nurturing those relationships. Don't you find that, Mai, that when you have a relationship with clients that helps you?
Yeah, very much. And it's very, very true. It's always easier to sell when you have this special connection with your clients. And sometimes we don't know them. Sometimes they just read about us. Sometimes they just, watch us on social media. But those little connections really gets us closer to them. And it feels like they're starting to get to know us better. Yeah. And I like that about your work, actually. Whenever I see your ads on Facebook, it feels like there's something about this work with me, Miriam's work, that's really connecting with me. It's just that I have a lot of things that I'm doing, but if I can buy one of your artwork whenever, I wanted to go to New York one day and be able to bring home one of your artwork because they are really, really, special to me. You being my friend and meeting you and having one of your artworks would be really amazing. But I want to know, I'm curious, how do you sell your art specifically? How do you connect with people who wanted to buy your art? Because I know you have different source of income. You have different offerings with your brand, but I'm curious, how do you sell collections? How do you sell artwork to people?
Well, the highest end artworks that I sell, the ones I sell for 5,000, those types of commissions, those are with clients that I have met in person, because that is the best way to form a connection, is when you meet somebody in person. Now, you can simulate some in-person connections online. It is harder, but you can do it. So meeting over Zoom, sending client Loom videos, picking up the phone and using it as a phone to call them. That is something I'm always advocating my clients do, because it really does work. So sometimes I will meet someone in person, but to close the sale, it requires a phone call. So to really have that deeper connection with somebody, because they really need to know, like, and trust you. And that sounds like a cliche that people have heard before. Oh yeah, I've heard that before. Know, like, and trust. But here's the thing. When something is low priced and they don't trust, well, let me put it the other way around. If they're not sure if they trust you to do like a commissioned work, but the price is low enough, they might say to themselves, okay, I'll have it a go. We'll see how it turns out. The higher the prices, the more they have to feel comfortable with going into the transaction. So with client work and commission work, that is really important. When something is already created, they see what it is, but what motivates them to collect it is still that connection. So it's very difficult for artists right now with the pandemic and COVID, because we don't have the access to meeting our clients and collectors in person, but they still want art and they're still craving that human connection. And if you are that artist who reaches out to people either by the phone, calling people, or sending them a personalized video, you will stand out and you will sell more art.
So that is interesting. But how do these clients meet you? Through social media, or do you join trade shows or something like that?
I try to do shows, but again, I know that there are artists who will groan because they don't want to do in-person shows, but I don't burn myself out. I'm not doing every weekend. So here in the United States, there are artists who fill up their van and they drive for hours on the weekends, like going from place to place in Florida. I never did that. What is super important is when you do an event in person, whether it's, like you said, a trade show, whether it is an art fair or festival, is that you basically squeeze every drop out of that lemon. So not, like I said, you may not get that sale in person. But if you get their email address, if you get their postal address, if you get their phone number and you follow up, you could get a sale 3, 4, even 6 months later. So I'm all about maximizing those opportunities. The biggest mistake I see artists do who are in the art festival circuit is when things are good and they make sales at the fair and they're depending on that, but they're not collecting emails. Yeah. And they're not sending out emails and they're not nurturing that list. Those are the ones who really suffered in 2020 because when that art festival market fell out from under them, they didn't have an email list to fall back on. And those who had an email list some of them weren't using it. So I only do a few shows a year, very well-chosen shows that put me in front of high-end collectors, and I go to the same shows year after year so that they know me. And sometimes it takes a few years before the person goes from this year I want a print, this year I want an original, oh, now I'm ready to invest in a $5,000 commission. So there is a customer journey that goes along with it.
Yes, so true. I believe that. And now that you mentioned email, so we both know how powerful having an email list is. But whenever I talk to creatives and art students, they are always confused why they need to build and nurture an email list. And I want them to hear from somebody other than me how powerful having an email list is and how do you use it as a marketing tool being a painter.
All right. How much time do we have? This is like my favorite song to sing. All right. It really makes me cringe when I hear artists say, I don't want to bother people.
Always. They always say that.
And sometimes I will have artists join my email list and they'll say to me, you're emailing too much. And I'll say, no, I'm not, because this is how the money is made. Like, people join an email list because they eventually want to purchase something from you. That is why we stay on email lists. This is why, if we think about your own behavior outside of art, I don't know what kinds of shopping you like to do or your listeners like to do. I'm just going to talk about me personally. So I will stay on Kate Spade and Anthropologie's email list to see all the pretty things because eventually I know I'm going to want something. That's why you're on the email list, because eventually you're going to want to buy something they have. That's why we don't want to admit it, but that's why you join email lists. So it's okay to keep showing them things that they might like. But the thing is to do it from a place from an energy where it is a sharing energy and coming from a place of service. So let me give an example with the fashion world. I hate emails that the subject line says 20% off. I won't open them. But if the subject line said 3 things to wear to a brunch, oh, I'm going to open that email. What are they showing me that I should wear? Because I don't really know what to wear. Show me. Oh, that looks nice. I might buy that. The same thing is true with us, with our art. If we're sending emails that say, oh, the worst kind of email is studio news. I hate those emails.
Sorry, I'm laughing out here and I cannot contain that. I had to share. Yeah, same.
Do you get emails like that?
I do.
Okay, if you are listening, stop it. And you do this, stop it. No, don't use a subject line that says newsletter, like April newsletter, April studio news. Just stop it. Nobody's opening those emails because there's nothing in it for them. And nobody wants a newsletter either. That's the other thing. So stop calling your email a newsletter. It is an email just like you would send a friend. They don't want like a newspaper with 10 different articles in it. So that's the other thing about if you send 10 emails with 10 different things, it's so much better than sending one email with 10 things in it that you call a newsletter. Okay. I'm ready for you to respond. I can talk for days about this.
Because
go ahead,
it's funny because it might work during, a couple of years ago because newsletter is new. And I think we use that in the scrapbooking world, like studio news, because we expect emails every single week of new scrapbook releases. And that might have worked before, but trends do change and people change. People's behavior changed, so it has evolved over the years. And I like our dear friend Laura Belgray. She calls emails, email from a bestie, the EFAB. I don't know if you remember that. She calls it email from a bestie. So that when you're sending emails to somebody, make sure that it looks like they're receiving email from a friend instead of a business, because people buy from people most of the time, right?
Right. Make sure that your name is on the from. So I'm not sending it. The email address is Miriam at theinspirationplace.net, but it doesn't say the inspiration place. It says Miriam Schulman. When you get it in your inbox, it says Miriam Schulman. And sometimes my friends are confused that it's actually going to thousands of people. So I have this email in my nurture sequence that says, hey, you want to have coffee or tea? And inside the email, it's basically, I'm inviting them into my world. I'm virtually showing them around my studio. I can't tell you how many of my friends, when they join my email list, they write me back, yeah, let's have coffee on Thursday. So that's the best thing in the world, when somebody feels like it was written just for them, even though it's going to thousands of people.
Yes. And even if you're trying to sell them something, sometimes, yes, there are direct sales emails. That's okay. But most of the time, especially when you're selling, like, for example, you launch a product or you wanted to sell for that particular week, there's a sale going on. You can send emails, still valuable emails. And then at the bottom of it, then you can offer the sale. It doesn't mean just because you're on sale mode or a launch mode, you will just bombard everybody with all the sales emails.
I bombard them with sales emails.
I do bombard them with sales emails, but most of the emails that I have still has value to them.
Yes.
Value. Yes. It's not just pure. I will have direct sales emails. Yeah. That's it. Because we both know that whenever we send emails, I don't know if you experience that, the more that I send emails, the more sales that I make. And most people don't believe that, but that actually, I remember asking, we are in the same mastermind, right? And then I ask everybody, how many emails do you send, particularly when you are on launch mode? And they said as many as you think. And I was so surprised because at first I was scared of sending a lot of emails. And then I tried all of your advices and I did send many, many emails, which of course I received a lot of unsubscribes, but those were okay because the unsubscribes also, it translated to a lot of sales. The more email that I sent, the more money that I make. And it's unbelievable to most people, but that is so true. So don't be afraid to send.
100%.
Yeah.
I had a client, so she doesn't sell art classes. She sells traditional art. And she says, well, I don't want my open rates to go down. And so you will appreciate this since you're an electrical engineer. So I actually did the math for her. I said, okay, let's say, and I forget what numbers I used then, but we'll make up new ones now. Let's say you have 100 people on your email list and your open rate is 50. So 50 people open your email and you only want to send it twice a month. That's 100 people open an email. Mm-hmm. Now let's pretend your open rate goes down to 30%. Big drop, because now you're sending it every week. So 30 times 4 is 120 people that are going to see an email rather than 100 people seeing the email. Now, yeah, there may be some people who see the same email more than once, but that's okay. More people are opening your emails when you send more emails, even if your open rate goes down. because it's more opportunity to get in front of them. Maybe you have a different subject line. Maybe they weren't interested in the 3 things to wear to a brunch. So Anthropologie tries again. What do you need for date night? Oh, maybe that will get her attention. You'll see they keep trying. They send it every day, those emails. Our favorite brands, every day they send something.
That is actually true. That's actually true. I remember during Black Friday, I sent an email and the response was actually interesting. The first one, because people were primed that I'm going to have a week before I announced I'm going to have a Black Friday sale. So I sent an email with a subject that talks about, hey, Black Friday sale is here. That was my first subject. And then the open rate was less. But I sent another email and the subject was about the about the bra that I used during my wedding. It was about the 5,000 pesos that my mother asked me to put inside my bra during my wedding day. And that was the subject.
Is that like a Filipino tradition?
I never knew about the tradition, but my mother wanted me to put it there, and I said no. So my subject was like the 5,000 pesos in my wedding bra or something. So I forgot the exact title, but that was it. And it got so many people curious what this story is about. And then the open rate skyrocketed, and it was unbelievable. Just simply testing those email subjects is really interesting, and seeing the response was phenomenal. And that allowed me to get more sales from my Black Friday because people got curious about the story. And then eventually at the bottom, I had the offer to sell. And then they clicked on the sales page, and then there you are, already selling to them. But you gave them something of value through that story, which other people who might have received the Black Friday subject email might not be interested in, because there's so many Black Friday email, right, that we get. So how will you stand out from other people's inbox during that crazy time of the year?
Yeah. And most people, they're going to go through their phone and swipe left on every Black Friday subject line. So they won't even open yours because they get so many. But if you do what mine did and say, put my bra. Yeah, that's a good one.
That was.
Now I'm thinking, how can I incorporate a bra into one of my emails?
I will wait for that. I will wait for that. But that is interesting. And I don't know how I can convince a lot of people to start having an email list. I have been teaching since 2019 about email list, having an email list, but still not many people. I can talk about this in all of my classes. I have had bonuses about email lists, but not a lot of people are implementing it. And it makes me sad because, they're missing a lot. And I'm still hopeful, though, that the artist industry will, change and use this as a marketing tool because it's super powerful.
Well, let me share a story of one of my clients. So Dawn Trimble, I don't know if anyone wants to look her up. She in 2019 sold $300 in art. That wasn't $300 a week. That wasn't $300 a month. That was $300 for the entire year. In 2020, she started working with me in June, and she was a little skeptical in the beginning about all these emails. But she did listen to me. And within a few months, she had her first $5,000 month. That's $5,000. And that was from selling in emails.
Just using emails? What did you sell?
Art. Not art classes, not coaching packages, paintings.
That is so amazing. And that's interesting. Could you share a little bit more about that?
Okay, well, it's no different than anything we were just talking about. So it's it is sending an email every week consistently.
Yeah,
and
week.
When she was launching her collection, it was like what you described. And this is something I teach in my classes, how to do the Black Friday, or you can do it really any time of year. It's that whole launch style is taken from the movies. So it's not like all of a sudden we find out, we open a paper and there's an ad that says Star Wars is opening tonight. We hear it for months. There's a buildup. And we have to do the same thing with our audiences. This is coming. This is coming. This is coming. Now it's here. But only for a short time. So you see, like Disney will do this. They used to do this when DVDs were a thing, but I think they do that even with streaming now too. They'll say something like is available for a short time and then it's going back in the vault. So creating a sense of urgency around selling, especially with originals, because there's only one of each and then it's gone. It's gone. Yes. So yeah. She did it selling paintings, and she also raised her price. She more than doubled her prices. That was the other thing we worked on, raising her mindset, not underpricing her art.
Wow, that was amazing. I had a student, but his is more coaching. He started with coaching, but he made, in the middle of a pandemic, he made over $100,000 in total using his email list.
Great.
Selling his coaching services, selling mini courses, PDF courses, and Procreate brushes. He made, I think the last text he sent me was $125,000, which was, I was mind blown because I never realized that I could help somebody really achieve the 6-figure mark. And he was the first. That was my goal, to be able to help someone achieve the same level of income that I had made.
That's great.
It was amazing, right? And he never really imagined he would be able to do that because he used to earn less than that. And now he's making way, way more. And I'm so, so happy for him and his family because he was finally able to do it. Using the power of the email list. He started growing his email list starting last year. And I think at the very beginning, he was also like skeptical about email list, but over time, he saw how powerful it is. And yeah, the results were really astronomical, if I might say. But yeah, it's amazing, right? And I hope that many, many artists will start using the power of email marketing in their marketing strategies throughout, the coming years, especially during this time where we are still in the middle of it all. This crazy pandemic is not ending just yet, right? Yeah, we have the vaccine.
I remember last year when we thought it would be over in like a few months.
I know. We were just talking about it like it's going to end like by June. It's going to be.
Right.
Yeah, but it did not. And now we're almost, a year into it. I remember our lockdown started March 15, but February, we're already isolating ourselves, locking down inside the house. My son goes to therapy, but it's in the hospital. So we did not go. We stopped going. I asked my daughters not to go to school anymore because it's already starting in our place in Manila. There were already news. So yeah, now we're in a year. It's unbelievable. But yeah, we're living in it. And the more that we can, get all of these strategies in place to sell our art, specifically using whatever tool that we have right now online.
Yeah. And I would add one more thing. The biggest mindset blocks I see, and we've covered, I think, 2 of them today. We covered the mindset around pricing. We covered the mindset around email. But the third one that I see a lot is people who have a limiting belief that they can't sell during this time.
Yes.
And it is not true, because the people who have money still have money. In fact, they have more disposable income because they're not spending it on traveling.
Yeah.
They're not spending it on dry cleaning. They're not commuting. They're in their home more. So their desire for artwork is up and their disposable income is also up. There are a lot of people out of work, and it's heartbreaking. But many of those people were never our customers to begin with.
So
The people who are in that high end income bracket are still there.
And they still have money, right?
And that's what I'm saying. Not only do they still have money, they don't have as many places to spend it on. So
I know.
like they want to spend it on, they like spending their money, and they want artwork for their home because now they're at home all the time.
Yeah.
So it's really a great time to be an artist who is in control of your destiny, to be building an email list, building your collector base, sending those emails, creating collections, and sharing it with your list. There's never been a better time.
Yes. And there's also another thing that I wanted to add, because we're already talking about this. Investing in yourself is crucial. Yeah. You remember it took me, I have been working in scrapbooking for 7 years, but I was happy with my $2,000, $3,000 per month. I never realized that I could earn more. But once I started investing and learning how to do it, I invested in online courses. I don't know how many online courses I've already took, and masterminds. Those gave me the leverage to do things a lot faster than many other artists, right?
Oh, yeah. And also it really raises your confidence and vibration to surround yourself with people who are doing big things.
Yeah.
And you don't want to surround yourself with the same people who told you in high school you can't make money as an artist.
Yeah.
That's not going to help you. Because you surround yourself with those people, that's what you're going to believe. You want to surround yourself with people who believe in you and believe in themselves. And that is an infectious energy that will motivate you and take your art career to greater heights. So whether you invest in coaching with Mai or somebody like myself, or you even find somebody neither of us, I don't know why you would do that. But but yeah, no, whether it's us or someone else, it's really a good idea to invest in a group coaching program. Yeah. It's helped me so much.
Learn from somebody who's been on the trenches, has done all of these work, and have seen massive success, especially because they know how to do it faster. They have shortcuts. They know the shortcuts. You can avoid all of the mistakes that might have cost you a lot of money and time. Specifically, if I had known that I would be doing this for the long haul, I probably would have invested in an online course before. It took me years, I think 7 years, before I enrolled myself in one. And once I got out of that course, I was like, holy cow, why did I not take this course like years ago? Why did I hesitate? I spent all of those years trying to figure out how to make more money. I was happy with the very low income that I was having. The time to me, that was good, that was big, but I never realized that I have a lot more potential. And you might be,
What was your first online class that you took? Do you remember?
It was Leela Rogers, actually.
Oh, really?
The maths boot camp. I took all of that.
Yeah.
I remember I closed I had a final sale on my scrapbook shop, the personal shop that I have. And I spent $1,000 getting all of the Make Art That Sales class. I have the maths A and B, and then the boot camp. I have all of those. But I never really did all of the homework because, as you know, Leela teaches different types of art and how you can make money from it. But when I was doing all of the homework, I'm always gravitating towards incorporating hand lettering. And that's when I realized, that I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to do this. And so that's why when I had, with my son, and I had all of this, crazy thing going on. I said, I'm just going to draw letters. That's what I'm good at anyway, but I'm not expecting anything from it. So, but if I did not take that course, I probably would not have realized that I'm always drawing letters, and that might not have come to me. Right.
But this is the thing, Mai, that also I want to point out for listeners that I like to say that you want to get to the top of the mountain and there's a lot of roads, and the person who's going to get to the top of the mountain fastest is the person who's going to pick one road, because you can't get to the top if you keep changing lanes.
Yeah.
And you picked the road of lettering, and that's why you got to the top. And I did the portraits. And anytime I did something else, that slowed me down. Like, okay, now I'm going to try this and now I'm going to try that. So it's really important to, like, if you don't say, oh, I'm only doing one thing, like that is it. And then my people are going to, they're going to ask us, how do you find that one thing? Right.
Yeah.
People ask you that.
They do all the time.
They do. Yeah.
And my answer would always be, I tried so many different things. At the very beginning, I was doing surface pattern design. I was trying illustration. I was trying calligraphy. I did try that and it hated me. So I tried a lot of things at the beginning too, but eventually I realized this is not something for me. So I just focused on where I'm good at and just did that repeatedly over and over and over. How about you?
I love that. Yeah. The one thing.
Yeah. It's amazing, right? But even though, and to think it's just letters. Nobody would have, would think that I would build a 6-figure business drawing letters. It's funny to think. If you told me that 5 years ago, I will never believe you. But
yeah,
look where we are now. And we can always tell the people who told us that we cannot make money from art, like, oh yeah.
They still don't believe me though when I tell them. They're like, how are you doing?
I know,
they give me a real concern. Like, how are you?
Like, how are you making money just by doing
you're
that?
not really. They think it's my husband. You're not really making money doing that, right? You're just doing it for fun.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think so.
I still get that. But the funny thing is I stopped lettering and still people incorporated the hand lettering with me. So it has become part of my brand. And I'm still teaching that in my online course, but I'm not actively doing it now. So I'm really happy that you're still... What else are your sources of income other than, selling collections? I know you also have coaching programs and courses, right? What are your courses?
Yeah, last year, about half of my income came from online classes. Mm-hmm. About a quarter was my art and a quarter was coaching, roughly. That's about the breakdown. So I have that. I love doing, sometimes I think, I wish I was only doing one thing. But I love it all. So
yeah, and I think it's still okay because it's still, what you're doing is still relevant to the type of art that you are doing anyway.
Yeah. So artists have always, being a coach is basically, we're calling it coach now. That's a modern term, but it's this has been around for hundreds of years. They call it the master and the apprentice relationship. So that relationship has always been around, and the apprentice would learn not just how to create art in the style of the master, but also how to make a business of it. So that relationship has always been around, and I really feel I benefit from that relationship, not just because they're paying me, but I benefit from it in many ways. Some of the best ways for me to learn and grow is by teaching. So you teach and you also learn from your students and you learn from teaching.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Because when I started teaching workshop, I was impressed by the number of things that I have learned from my students. And that gave me more ideas on what else I can teach. And that's not what everyone else is realizing. Some people just think, I cannot teach, but start teaching and you're going to learn a lot. You're going to be able to teach over time. And you don't actually have to be the guru, right? You just have to know more than what the average person in the room does. And you're good at that. Oh my goodness. I just looked at the time. And I cannot believe it's been an hour since we started recording. So before I let you go, Miriam, do you have any, final advice for artists and creatives out there who might be struggling, selling art and selling their services?
Yeah, so I would go back. This episode has been packed. I can't believe how much we packed
Yes.
in here. But I would go back and listen to this, and anytime you hear that little voice saying, "Oh, that won't work for me," Maya and I are not special snowflakes. We were not, there was no art fairy that came down and said that we are going to make it as an artist. If we can do it, you can do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is so, so good. Thank you so much. And of course, a lot of people would want to know, where can they find Miriam Schulman? And I know you have something to share with our audience, so feel free to share whatever freebie that you have, because I'm pretty sure they will be interested in it.
Thank you, Mai. Okay. So if you liked what you heard today, I invite you to come listen to the Inspiration Place podcast, wherever you're listening to this podcast now. Well, except on Mai's website, but you're on all the apps too, right, Mai?
Yeah.
So, okay. So am I. So iTunes, Spotify, of the other ones, I can never remember which ones there are. So the Inspiration Place, there's a whole episode on email. There's a whole episode on lots of the things we talked about today. I invite you to come listen to it. And for a little goodie, I have a freebie for you. So I wasn't quite sure what you might like. So you can go pick up your party favor. Go to schulmanart.com/freebies. And Schulman is SCHULMANART/freebies. And I got a couple of good things in there. Something for watercolor lovers, something for people who want to make money from their art. And you can see what else I put into that goodie bag.
Wow, thank you so much. I know there's a lot that people will get from listening to this and from all of the freebies that you are giving them. Okay, so I think we have to wrap this episode because I took so much of your time, but I'm super thankful that you allowed me to interview you today. It's not quite it's more like I don't feel it was like an interview. It was more like a conversation between two artists, right? And I love it.
It was super fun, Mai. Thank you so much for having me.